Welcome to Radio Free Will, a podcast for sovereign people. I'm your host, George McCullough, and we're coming at you today from Greekstown, New Jersey. And with us today, once again, is Michelle Mockers, artist, activist, and philosopher. Michelle, how are you doing?
Yes, very well, George. A pleasure to be with you.
Okay. So everybody, we went through all the general rules from the positive dialectic, and let's just see if we can't recap real fast for people, okay?
Yeah.
Michelle?
Yeah.
And if you have any additional comments on these rules, you let us know.
No, the lines, of course, you could add a lot to every one of the lines. I mean, more definition of the lines, but the 9 lines tell basically what is basically the philosophy of the arts philosophy.
Okay, well let's go through these real fast. I got to put my glasses back on, folks, and see if anybody has any additional rules they think they should contact us. Right?
Yes, I should say that maybe we should ask why those rules, in fact.
Why?
Yeah, or why the dialectic of the arts?
What?
Yeah,
all right, Michelle.
We should say that again. When you really consider nicely, coolly, the history of the globe, of our civilization, of the man since recorded history, which is something like less than 6,000 years, 5,000 and when you look at that, you look at the perpetual continuation of exactly the same behavior of governments. Means that nothing except it has been basically cut. I'm not talking religion at all, I'm just talking politics. It has been cut in 2 big parts. The communist, socialist communist if you want, and the other one which is more or less capitalist. I say also more or less.
But you're just talking about big societies, not
the society
tribal
as
societies or anything
as a whole. Society as a whole is basically those 2 parts. And those 2 parts, when at the last years, if you look at the history of humanity through that history book, the 5,000 years, it's 5,000 years, I repeat myself, but 5,000 years of wars, absolute wars, until the Industrial Revolution. In the Industrial Revolution, there is one thing which happened of that, is a sudden urge of the number of the population. You were able to give them, clothes and food and everything. So all of a sudden, the population goes from, let's say, 1 billion to what we are today, 7 billion. And there is no reason why we should not go to 10 billion or something like that, except that we are still with the rules of, let's say, 1500.
Well, when you say population increases, I think that just plays in the hands of capitalist society because it depresses the wage labor. People have to work cheaper because there's more people. It increases rents. People have to pay for housing and food and products and stuff. So I think as long as we have some kind of capitalist society, there'll always be overpopulation.
But even the communist population, when you say, for example, no more than 2 children, what does it mean? Those 2 children will produce 2 children. We will produce 2 children. So 2 or 3 generations, and you are with 8 children, not with 2 children. No. So it's impossible, I should say, to say just like that, no this or no that. Or,
I'm not sure I agree with that because I think you're just having a child to replace you.
Yeah. But the number, nevertheless, the number of births, if you want, is greater at the time than the number of deaths.
No.
Oh yes,
it's equal.
It has been. The proof is that how many people are actually in Russia and over there in China and all that. They say they don't want it to augment the population. They did augment the population despite that.
Yeah, well, I still think if I don't think you can limit the number of children, and I think that's against a human right. But technically, they're just replacing themselves, so it should stay the same.
Yeah, but how can we explain, for example, that in let's say less than 300 years, the population went from 1 billion to 7 billion? So,
Hey.
so like that, in a very short period of time, in 300 years, the population more than 1 to 7 in 300 years, 1 to 7.
That's because people are having more than 2 children.
Yes, and because at that time, the factories and the new, way of producing clothes, producing food, and etc., became very big and allows to give to people, to give everything to people. So the people didn't stop and make children, and we were able to give everything to those children, and so it went on and it went on, and once more we went from 1 billion to 8 billion in 300 years, something like that, when for 15 or 1600 years before, if we go just on to Christ, the population did not augment that much, not at all.
I think I read that the number of births in the United States is at an all-time low, and actually the population would be declining in the United States if it wasn't for immigration.
Yeah, but it's true in every country, I believe, not only the United States.
Well, Italy,
Italy,
their population is going down.
yeah, but they have all the immigrants.
Yeah, see, that's artificial though.
Oh, absolutely. The basic population are, should say, beginning to augment through the outside population coming in,
Right.
immigrants.
And the capitalist society encourages immigration so they can keep the rents high.
Yeah. Beside that, they do the job.
Yeah.
Take all the today.
They work at they work at a cheaper wage rate. It works right into the hands of the boss.
No, absolutely. If you did not have that population, especially, today, Spanish, more or less, origin population here, come on. A lot of things would not be done?
I don't believe that at all. I just don't.
Well, done by whom?
Americans are the hardest working people in the world. They will do it. They just want to be paid for it. So
My dear, what you are talking is the result is the same. This morning we had the guy to cut the grass. All those guys were Spanish. They were not Americans. So
Right.
how come that they were all Spanish?
that I don't know. But if you pay people enough, they'll come out and do it. I've seen people eat worms on TV just to make a couple of dollars. They will do it.
So how do you explain that during a dinner, for example, in a big inn, all of a sudden you have 12 people running out of the kitchen to the exit? Why? Because there was an inspection of the population. So absolutely, during the dinner, in the middle of the dinner, you had about 12 people running out, which were the people working in the kitchen. Why were they working in the kitchen and not Americans?
I don't blame the workers at all. I blame the person who owns the company that's going around hiring illegal people.
Yes, but it's everywhere like that, my dear. That's the problem, is that it's everywhere like that. Anything you touch, you have people. You take the telephone, today you telephone, you have a voice which is not an American voice, but a Spanish voice. You understand half what she is saying, but she is Spanish, she is not American. How come that?
Because it's a global world now.
It's a global world, but you don't understand what she says.
I guess I'll have to learn Spanish.
So
I mean, everybody has a right to a
So, my
job.
dear,
So
the Spanish, they do the job that the Americans don't want to do.
no, Americans will do it. Americans.
Oh, why don't they do it then? If what you say is true, explain to me why it is not like you say.
Because they can't do it as cheap.
As cheap.
It's the person that owns the company that is exploiting the people from.
So how do you explain that today there was a big article, I don't know, in one more Time magazine or something like that, saying that the Americans are not even depending on their salary, week salary, they are depending on tips. You're depending on tips more and more. You will have $2.75 by hour, and because you will have the tips.
Yeah, that's horrible. I
But it's
do not
everywhere,
agree with that.
everywhere. So when a country reaches that point where eventually the people would work, but they don't. So you have all the people cutting the grass, you have the people in the kitchen, you have the people doing this and this for tips. So it's not anymore an economy. It's the economy of few people who are using all those people, and that's it.
Do you think you could live on tips nowadays?
Of course, you can live on tips according to how you said that you can, how you like to live. That's the thing. You are doing a job for which you will have, I don't know, $5 an hour, because you will have the tips, and that's it. And that is everywhere.
Yeah, but
absolutely.
there's no guarantee you're going to get a tip.
And there is no guarantee. Absolutely not. But that's the rule almost everywhere now in America. You say the Americans are working, they use people like that. I have worked like that, my dear, in my life. I had the experience of having been paid $2.75 an hour because I was going to have tips.
That was when you were driving the cab?
Yes, because I did that to understand America. Yeah, that was my experience to understand it. So, no. I say.
I guess you get to learn about America real fast driving a cab.
Oh yes, because you're right. I say, how can I am a painter, and a painter is in his studio all year long painting and receiving once in a while a customer. I say, I don't understand what I'm doing. So I must understand. How can I understand America? And it came through my mind that if I was driving a limousine, I would have American and they would talk in the back. And I will listen to that and I will learn. And I made that for 3 years. After 3 years, I say, hey, it's enough. But those 3 years, my dear, I did live exactly on a small salary and the tips. And today, more and more people are on small salary and tips.
Boy, that really works out great for the person that owns the company.
Of course.
They have no responsibility to the worker at all.
Of course.
The customer is paying for the labor.
Of course. Of course. So you're a rich guy having a big company.
And
You don't work.
I've noticed that the richest people are the worst tippers, too.
My dear, listen to me. I knew in France, the richest guy in France, the richest one, he was considered by all the state and as
How
the
do you make
richest
his
guy.
money?
Casinos.
Oh.
But he was owning the casinos, several casinos, very popular. But casinos in France are not like here. The machine, they were not at that time. I don't know today. The machine, cling, cling, cling. The machine. It was very a lot of things. You didn't even see when you go in the games, and you see nothing at all. That's something else. But that was the richest guy in France. And you know what? He was going himself to buy his cigarettes, cross the street, not to send one of these little, guys to get it for him. Because he had to give it a little tip for doing that. The richest man in France.
He didn't sell cigarettes in his own casino?
No. No, in casino you don't sell cigarettes.
You don't?
Oh, no, absolutely not. Come on. We're not in America, we're in France.
Were they allowed to smoke in the casino?
To smoke, yes, but not to sell it cigarettes, not at all.
Okay, so let's
Let's go back to the subject.
to the rules, right? These are the rules for a better society, and I'm just going to read through them fast. If you got any quick comments,
Yeah, go ahead.
okay. No armies, collaboration of countries.
That let me stop you right away. When you
gonna be a long
because
joke,
no armies, it seems to be something absolutely enormous. But once more, when you consider the world as it is, as it was, armies are doing everything. They are taking the most money of every country. Look, in America, there is more than half the budget that goes to the army.
I can agree with you. And we just passed Veterans Day, and you see it all over the TV how we're supposed to support our vets, but
So you
I
know,
don't know. I haven't seen. America hasn't been in a just war in 60 years. We're the ones attacking the other countries.
we are always more or less into war with always. The world, once more, 5,000 years of history, 5,000 years of wars. If it's not at the right, it's at left, always war. What happens with that is that you have to manufacture the weapons to do those wars, and that's where people are making money. You know, in America, 54% of the budget, I am sure that you look at exactly what it means for the people who manufacture the weapons.
You know what they say.
They want that to go on, come on.
You know what they say about war. You know
Yeah.
what war is good for.
Of course, war is very good.
It's good
Come
for
on.
it's good for business.
Absolutely, because you have to manufacture. But in fact, the budget is 54%. And I told you, well, the army, you know, has all the right in the world. They will never tell you if they spoil the earth, what they do. They will never tell you anything at all.
It's 54% of what we know of.
Yeah, you know, I have the best example for me. I don't know if I give it to you. Is that once I was in front of I don't know 20 or 25 trucks, all engine turning, and nobody in the trucks. And there was an officer, and I tell the officer, "Come on, what about those trucks? They are doing nothing." Oh, I say, "Sir, if we don't spend the gas this month, we will not have enough gas next month. They will not give us the same amount of gas. So we must spend the gas." That's army, my dear. So that's army, 54% of the budget of the country.
So they have to use the bombs so they can get more bombs.
And so the people who manufacture armaments are very pleased with that, except that armaments, more or less, at the time, are for killing people. Or otherwise, they not justify that you have armaments.
All right, rule number 2.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you know what it is?
No, I don't remember. Tell me.
Government. As many men as women. Or it should say, I guess it should say as many women as men.
Yeah, any women as men, for a very simple reason. There are more women on earth than men. So why are the women not in the government of the people? They should have their voice. You know, they have maybe a different consideration of problems that men, and they could give their advice, and they could have power beside that. Otherwise, we are in the Middle Ages. When I say the big guy in armor, he can bang in the head of his wife if she doesn't agree with him. So that's not the problem. I say we must. It's a natural, if we can say so, necessity to have as many women as men in the government, to have the advice, to have the opinion, to have the following of men and women together in the government.
I think you'll get at least half the people to agree to that.
Yeah,
Right?
at least the woman will agree with that, I hope.
Elections, no private funding. That's rule 3.
Oh yeah, that's my idea. When you see that you can give $1 million to have Mr. So and so elected, come on, that's absolutely polluting. It's absolutely anti-democratic. It's anti-democratic. It's basically, when I say it's equivalent of a fascist regime, because there is no democracy in that. Absolutely, you cannot give any money. You give your $20. That means absolutely nothing. If you can give, I don't know, $100,000, 200, $1 million, then you can influence the election. That's it. But that should not exist in a real democracy. Democracy means that all the people who run, and you know there can be a selection, of course, who run for the government should be absolutely free of the question of money. It's not their money which is elected, it's their mind. So that's it. Forget the money and forget the people who give the money.
I can agree with that.
That's
Folks, if folks have any comments on that,
Well, I will be very happy to hear comments.
okay. We're going to go to rule number 4.
What is number 4?
Complete and free education for all.
Here we touch again the problem of democracy. When America is a big democracy, forget it. It's not a big democracy. It's not a democracy at all. For two reasons. Number one reason is that all the young Americans do not have the same possibility of education. And that is the number one thing in I should say education, to have the power to be educated as much as you can do it. And that is pure democracy, because democracy it's not a material thing, it's a moral thing. It's a moral concept.
I can agree with that.
It's a moral concept. And a moral concept, you have to be able to have a mind able to, go through a moral concept.
But who does the teaching?
Who does the teaching?
Yeah.
All that should be absolutely free. Education, the teacher, that's another problem. But education has to be. If we pretend to be a democracy, education has to be the same possibility, because everyone doesn't follow. Some cannot go all the way. But everyone has the possibility according to his personal qualities.
But who decides what gets taught?
What is taught?
Yeah, who decides that?
My dear, that's just exactly the same. But then nothing is possible if you do not. What has to be taught is very, very simple.
I mean, you want
No.
You want the rules to be taught in the schools,
it's very
right?
simple. It's very simple. You have the classics. The classics are literature, history, whatever you want. That you cannot change. Anyone will agree about that. It's impossible. The language, how to learn, how to. Today, the kids do not write anymore. They use a computer, which is a very big disaster in my opinion, because the handwriting develop the personality. Computers do not develop personality. So we are going to
that's
go.
interesting. Can you expand on that?
We are going to go into a new problem with that. Today, and it's where artificial intelligence come in. It's a big block. It's the biggest block that the industrial revolution was a little exercise for that. And today, with the artificial intelligence and people seeing the computer and all that, we are in a big problem. Big problem for the future.
And why do you say that the handwriting develops personality?
A computer, you have touches. Personality, if you write, if you have to learn to make a nice letter, you develop your volunteer, you develop your sense of beauty, you develop everything by doing it by hand, including developing your own physical hand. You develop that, you have to think of what you are doing. The computer, blah, 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 blah.
And so what's the personality of the doctor that writes the prescriptions? You can't read it anyway. It's just going to scribble. What's the personality?
I'm
just teasing there.
No. But one of the big problem precisely of humanity today is the disparition of personality. The dispersion, when you have the kids which will be 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, with their telephone, with their computer, with everything, taking all the ideas that are in the computer or in the telephone. They cannot go outside of that. So they are absolutely uneducated, if you want, or educated according to what the people who provide the thing are wanting. That's it. So that is the great disaster of humanity today, and of future humanity. If we don't pay attention to that, it's over, my dear. Few people, we will have the money, we'll have the power to impose their ideas upon everyone.
Rule number 5.
Yeah. What is rule number 5?
You
You
wrote
see,
it.
I forget my own rules.
You wrote it.
Yeah, but, sorry.
Industry, collaboration, not competition. Goods must be made to last, and there must be a respect for all natural resources.
Now we touch another big problem today in the capitalist world. If you sell things that. Oh, last time that I bought a computer, the guy told me, you come to see me in 2 years because in 2 years your computer will be a dinosaur. So everything is a dinosaur after 1 year, after 6 months, after 2 years, after 5 years. Everything is dinosaur because like that you can sell again. You don't do things that you can go, you can repair, you can whatever. No. See, you have to change. You change. You change your automobile. So there is a nicer automobile. Change your automobile because you know your neighbor has a nicer automobile. So you must have a nicer automobile. Never mind if the automobiles are bigger than ever and if there is no less gas than ever. That doesn't count, you know? That absolutely not. We never think. We go without thinking. Why bigger automobile today? You see that old lady, she can hardly drive. She comes out of a bus almost. Why? Tell me why.
She doesn't respect the natural resources.
Nobody respect. When you see all those big automobile, why big automobile? What is the need to big automobile? Why not tanks to go out or buses or tanks? You know, it's absolutely stupid when we know perfectly well that the oil cannot be renewed. You know, we have the oil in Earth that is, and that's it. And we use it more and more and more and more. And the planes, come on, the planes. And we don't even talk about the pollution of the atmosphere with the planes, huh?
No.
Nobody talks about that.
It never gets discussed.
No, never. The plane for you or the military plane, hey, come on. They go CO1, they completely pollute the atmosphere. But who is taking care of that? Nobody talks about that. Today we are going to have the latest plane, you know, that you can imagine like that. Instead of making 2 planes in 48 hours, you will have 1 plane in 24 hours. So what? We're spoiling everything. And for the profit of whom?
So you have a great respect for nature, don't you?
Oh, absolutely, my dear, because nature, there will be a point where you cannot replace nature. If you destroy nature, you will not be able to replace nature. And we are destroying nature, systematically destroying nature.
It's nature is incredible design. Even this time of year where we're getting close to Thanksgiving, it's still incredibly beautiful to me.
No, absolutely. No, I agree with you, entirely with you. But why are we precisely spoiling, not taking care of nature? We are destroying nature for raw materials. Come on, we destroy entire mountains for raw material.
A lot of wars for it too.
Yeah. Well, of course, and the wars destroy everything. We destroy everything. Men destroy everything. When it's not by war, it's pacifically speaking, with automobiles or things like that. We systematically destroy the planet.
All right, so let's go to rule number 6. No financial markets, no money cartels, no too much and no not enough, no monopolies.
You know, I always come out with the financial market. America owns money, I don't know, we are full of debt. Huh? And we are full of debt with the Federal Reserve. So where the Federal Reserve take the money to loan us the money? If America has no money, why the Federal Reserve have money to loan to America? Explain to me that.
I can't.
I can, but nobody is asking the question. You know, one of the wonders of our people here is that they accept absolutely everything. We accepted Mr. Trump. Today, some don't want Mr. Trump anymore, but you elected Mr. Trump. No, Mr. Trump today should be thrown away. We are going to throw him away, and that's a big, big thing of American life, things like that, you know. And I always told you, the convention, if you want, the declaration of America and the rules that are political rules into it are just good rules for the government itself, not at all for the people. They don't consider the people. So today we have all those markets. I saw a guy who say, you buy some English, money at 3 in the morning, and at 9 in the morning there will be 1 cent more. So you buy 1 million a year at 3 in the morning and you sell it at 9. And most people do that. You know, people with a lot of money, the banks, you never know. When they say the crash of 1929, you can read in the computer. You will have the story, the people in the street, you will have everything. Nobody will tell you what the bank did a few days before. Nobody tell you that. It's never public if you want. You really have to search for it. And people don't search for it. It's good, it's written, it's good. They know what they are written, they know it, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and it's good. So
no monopolies, huh?
no monopolies, my dear. Monopolies are killing the people. You have to be...
So that's where your philosophy differs from communism, because communism would essentially be monopoly on everything.
Yeah, but you know the result of communism is absolutely superb, because Marx was not a philosopher. He didn't know exactly what he was doing, and he said something wrong right in the beginning, on which he built all his system. I should say it came when the workers were very, very unhappy, and they were happy to find out someone who say, "Hey, workers, you are the blood of the earth." Huh? So it's completely wrong that when you have, you know, the classic example is the proletariat and the bourgeoisie. The proletariat is the contrary of the contradiction of the bourgeoisie. So the contradiction is resolved by taking one of the terms out. So the proletariat must take the bourgeoisie out to create the classless society. But Marx was absolutely unable to say what would be or where would go the classless society. And today we have the classless society with one man elected for life. And it's exactly the position of a king in the Middle Ages.
But it doesn't.
One elected for life.
It doesn't have to be like that. Communism could be. It could be. You could have a communist economy, but still a democratic society.
Forget it. Forget it. Today we are not a democratic society. I'm sorry, I'm communist.
I don't think the U.S. is.
A
No.
democratic society? It is not a democratic society. The U.S., we repeat ourselves here, the U.S. is based on a contradiction itself. The society which has rules, because you cannot go on the sidewalk and blah, 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 and that's one part of the society. The second part of our society is free enterprise. And free enterprise, you can kill everybody we want.
Yeah.
So how can you have those two things to create a basic, solid society? It's impossible. We are what we are today. Oh yes, of course, we don't cross the street, you know, or we will have a cop to, but at the same time, if you can kill the factory that produce your produce and you can put them out and you take their place, you are very happy. So that is absolutely contradictory. So it's why I say the contradiction should not exist, but the cooperation should exist. We should install cooperation like that, and the material, when I say my computer is a dinosaur, my computer should not be a dinosaur in 2 years. Maybe in 10 years it's possible. And yet you can transform it if you were able to have a computer, to have a machine that you can eventually modernize and so on. So you will not be obliged to replace the whole machine, but little part of the machine which is less expensive. So, you know, it's all based on sell as, oh, come on. The most incredible, intellectually speaking thing is that consume more, you save more.
Don't make sense.
But did you see that? You see that in newspaper? I saw that big in the street. It's a public thing. It's a public slogan that makes absolutely no sense at all. But it is: if you spend more, you save more. Of course, you save more if you spend more, but you have to spend more. Come on, that is so stupid. Yeah, but you know, I cannot understand how it's possible to accept that type of thing. It's because the people are so less thinking that they accept such a slogan. It's impossible, intellectually speaking, to accept that. But it is, and it is public. Spend more, you save more. Oh, come on. So it's why I say, those markets, it's exactly that. Those markets. So you can buy here and try to sell them to make some money here. That has nothing to do with work or whatever it is. It has just to do with money.
Consumerism.
Yeah.
All right. Rule number 7. AI and robots pay taxes for the people they replace.
That's my dear, is a big problem, because you can today a robot can build a house in exactly 24 hours. In 24 hours you have a complete house, and beside that, with no lost materials, all those pieces of material to throw away when you build a house. You have nothing. Okay, so and one robot alone can do that, replacing how many people to have a house? So what do you do with those people if you replace them by a robot? What do you do with them? You don't know what you do with them, because there is nothing to
Will
do for them.
robots work on tips?
My dear, if robots can replace people, what the people are going to do? What are they going to use their time to do? What?
If they could paint, join philosophical discussions,
Oh yes, absolutely.
listen to the podcast.
When I talk, we didn't go into the education, but education for me is 3 parts. The classic education, the books. And after that is exposure to the arts. Theater, concert, whatever you want. All the arts. The kids have to be exposed to all the arts. And the number 3, they have to be exposed to possibility of all sports. There is no reason why only few people with enough money can go horse riding.
But didn't you also say that the students must be exposed to nature?
Oh, absolutely, my dear. But when you make horse riding, for example, you're obliged to deal with nature. If you are sailing, you're obliged to deal with nature. You deal with the sea, and you deal with the wind, and you deal with your boat. So you're obliged to deal with all that and to make decisions and all that. So that has to be, So the people who have nothing to do should be able to go, I don't know, sailing or horse riding. But we will pay for it. Why a machine could replace 10 people and pay no tax?
Oh, they're going to have these boats. Instead of having big barges run by captains and stuff, it's just going to be a robot doing the boat. What will happen to all the sailors? You won't need
No. The people have to be the sailors. You have to learn. You cannot put a robot on the back of a horse.
I bet you can.
No.
I bet you they're working on it.
Oh no! Come on. You have to put plus it would be absolutely. I am absolutely against that, because you have to have people. You have kids taking care of a horse. The horse riding is one thing, and then after that you have to take care of the horse, clean it, and then so and so before you put it back in the stable.
Could a robot love a horse?
Oh, I don't know if robots have an intelligence enough art enough to. Okay, forget that. We're losing. No, what I mean there, what I mean with robots, and then you tell me where is the answer. If robots replace people, what about the people?
Yeah, I don't know. What happens? What do they do?
Okay. So what do? They do what I say. They do what I say. They can learn. They can go to theater. They can go to horse riding. They can do a certain number of things. They can take care of the street. They can have obligation, social obligation.
Gardening.
Whatever. They can have social obligation. They can have all that. But who will pay for that?
The robots.
The robot. Because the robot replaces those 20 people. And I don't see why the robots should not pay the taxes for the 20 people.
I think you're really on to something there, Michel. Let's get to because we're starting to run out of time. I thought we were going to get through these
discussing
fast.
too much.
The last rule that you have here, universal health care.
Oh, yeah. Healthcare in America is you break your head to understand how it works. To understand it, you break your head.
So because I thought there's another rule that you're missing. A free and democratic media for society.
No, my dear. No.
You're not missing that?
No. That's part of no monopoly. So when you have no monopoly and when you have exposure to all the arts, to all the whatever it is, you will automatically create things. You will do that automatically.
So a democratic media would be in there.
Yeah, because you do not allow a monopoly by few people.
Okay.
Because those few people, when I mean few people,
But free
monopoly
speech
with the money,
Free speech is in your rules, right?
Yeah, free speech is in the rules of the America, freedom of speech and opinion.
But
Except
this
if you
is
don't have
for
too much.
everybody in the globe, right?
Yeah, of course, absolutely, my dear. But I like the freedom of speech and opinion. In America, you do not see, for example, a press which would be absolutely against the government and making joke about the government. You don't see that. You don't see that. Why? You have that in other countries. You have that, I don't know the country I know the best, France, for example. You have some papers, we make a joke of the government. Today we will make a joke of the government in throwing away Mr. Trump.
So having a good sense of humor is important to being a human being.
Oh, absolutely. Otherwise, life is boring. If you do not have a sense of humor and not able to have anything agreeable from life, forget it. It's hell on earth instead of being. Come on.
All right. So, but if there are people listening to this podcast and they wanted to suggest another rule for a better society, how can they contact you?
They can contact me. I always give my email address, which is Michel Mockers, one word, @gmail.com.
And they can go to the website and
read
these documents for themselves?
Yeah. And the website you can communicate. The website is no-pennies.com.
Okay.
No Dutch pennies is like the no 3 pennies opera. It's that, the 3 pennies opera, that's the no dish opera. So I wrote the no dish opera beside that.
You did?
Oh, yes, I did.
So we can perform it on the podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
We have a few minutes left, so you and Anne are having some trouble with your neighbor?
Oh, yeah.
What's going on with that?
Listen, dear, that's part of life. The neighbor is not a nice neighbor, so, the communications are difficult. Let's put it that way.
And now you're thinking of building a fence?
One of the problem of Earth is that people are not nice enough to other people. If everybody was nice with everybody, there will be no problem. And there will be no war beside that. But it's because in some ways, locally speaking, personally speaking, locally speaking, or a little more nationally speaking, you entertain some kind of, hate or whatever it is against something. You have to go against something. We will have war. Listen, the war of 1914, we make only 10 million men, only men. You were not killing the women at that year. So you were killing men. Why, what? For the same family having 3 or 4 countries, and they were disagree between the family, and they make a war. But men are stupid enough, I should say men are stupid enough, Americans are stupid enough to accept anything. No, we accept Mr. Trump, now we have to throw him away, to replace him by whoever, whatever. But the politics does not change, it's always the same politics. If we go on like that, in 20 years, in 200 years, we'll be exactly in the same politic written in 17 something, and we don't change. As I quote that already, saying Jefferson himself said that we have to rewrite the rules of America. Every generation should rewrite them because according to the needs of one generation after one generation after one generation, we never did it. We are still exactly like we were at the creation of America. Exactly. We did not evolve. And we apparently did not evolve, specifically speaking, by the mind. Today we are throwing away a president that we elected to replace it by who cares about. The politics will be the same. So anyone we will replace will follow the politics of Republican or Democrats.
So
That's it.
and you're making suggestions for a new constitution.
I make suggestion for absolutely a new constitution. Rewrite the constitution according to our century and according to what the people today needs, and be a little more intelligent than it was now, because we become completely stupid with that rules of 300 years ago.
Okay. So we're just about at the end of the show.
We may really repeat ourselves
Yeah,
once in
yeah.
a while.
But we can follow this story on you and your neighbor, right?
Ah, yes.
So you're considering a fence.
Yeah, but you know, I should not say that, but I consider that she doesn't need a lawyer, she needs a doctor.
Well, maybe we can get
No, I'm serious.
maybe we can get Anne on the show and she can fill us in on what's taking place. See, there is drama here in Griggstown, New Jersey. So I want to thank everybody for listening today. I want to thank you, Michelle, for it was a great show. Thank you.
I listen. The problem, my dear, is that we can eventually repeat ourselves, but it is by repeating ourselves that we will finally find enough people to eventually change the world, our country, and the world, because our country would be an example to change the world.
That sounds like a good place to stop. Folks, join us again next time. And I want to thank you for listening. This has been Radio Free Will, signing off.